Welcome, hunters, to the Hunters Hub episode 22. Today, this is Fortuan again. Hello. And today we're joined again by Ariel.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back.
And Loborin returns as usual.
Hello, hello, hello.
And our guest that keeps guesting, Haru.
Said I'd never leave, but then I did leave, but now I'm back.
Cool. So today, kind of unsurprisingly, we're going to continue sort of a discussion on the DevilJho update, the spring update. So at this point, the live stream has occurred, but when everyone is listening or able to listen to this episode, it will have released. So we know what's in it, but we can't give an impression of, hey, it's fun fighting DevilJho again, or oh my gosh, it's horrible and they broke him. Like whatever happens, we don't know. So,
I mean, we could totally fake it.
Fake it till you make it.
Oh yeah, I fought DevilJho, and he certainly was devil and Joe-ish.
Well, he was real pain. If any past indication is true or can be taken, he's just the worst. It'd be the shine behind the new monster will fade quickly once he interrupts your third or fourth quest.
I don't know. I always found him enjoyable. One of my favorite Monster Hunter memories, I think I've talked about this before with you guys, but still is my friend Brian and Austin meeting DevilJho for the first time. Figured out after talking to him it was in 3 Ultimate that happened. They never broke into high rank on Try.
Oh wow!
So, yeah, they get distracted easily.
It happens.
So yeah, cool. So we'll just go ahead and start out talking about initially just like it's coming on the 22nd. Just 3 days from now for us. You guys excited?
I'm super excited.
I am very excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for anything new on the game. I'm excited to see how it fits into the environments, like where its nest is and all that stuff. If it's just gonna be retracing Anjanath's steps.
Yeah, I don't think it will be retracing Anjanath's steps. You know what though? I know they just debuted the one turf war. I hope it has a turf war with everything. I mean, I always want that, but
Right.
I agree. It's one of those monsters that should be super interactive.
Yeah. I do hope they, one specifically, just because you mentioned Anjanath, I kind of wish it did. Like, just kind of throw that, you're not my replacement kind of thing in there.
Mm-hmm. The old guard is back. Move on. Oh, man. So DevilJho is a huge deal, and you kind of alluded to this, Haru. It sounds like you just need new content. So let me ask you, how far have you gotten? Like, what's your hours?
Like 350. I've just been grinding. I haven't really done much tempered stuff, farming, but I've just been grinding a lot of gear and weapons.
It sounds like what a lot of people are doing in the end game.
Yeah, and I've just been trying out like a couple different weapons lately, like the gun lances and the bows and the hunting horn of all things.
Hey, don't sleep on the horn, man. I love that weapon.
It's good. I actually played it in preparation for last week's Weapon of the Week. I made a set using the Wiggler.
Classic. I love that thing. The helmet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw there's a shirt that I saw on the Monster Hunter Facebook group today. There's like a limited run of this Wiggler shirt, and it's like it's some sort of meme, and I can't remember, but it uses the Wiggler in replacement of one of the words. Maybe I can look it up instead of being a goofus.
So I'll give you like a good third of my playtime is building sets, min-maxing them, and then changing them completely to make them look decent. So, yeah, I think actually I'm always interested in new content, but if they added transmogrification, it'd make my life easier.
Yeah, I wish they would add transmog, but also like obviously tickets needed for it, you know, and you would need one set. Let's say you want to change your Kieran to a Legiana, for example. You would need
Mm.
to make the Legiana, then you would need to make the Kieran, and then you would need the ticket to transfer one to the other or something like that.
I
And it,
I know
go
a
ahead.
lot of people didn't like it, but that sounds a lot like what they did for, I believe it was Generations. Generations 2, that is. Sorry.
Well, I didn't play that one.
Oh,
But I just think that it just makes so much sense. Like people want to do this thing, and you need more content. You don't want to fall into the trap that like Destiny fell into, where people like the gameplay more or less, but there's not much to do. You need to keep giving people, carrots to chase. Because me and all of us here are logging insane hours that are at least mine is even gonna dwarf what I did on the DS for at least individual, but adding things like forcing you to get tickets, making like unique weapons that are desirable. Like I want all the Odegaard weapons, despite the fact that they're not really like quote unquote all that good or top tier, whatever, just because they look really great.
They do. They really do.
yes.
So things like this, things like adding monsters, which I don't know how difficult it is, especially considering one, a lot of them are quote unquote reskins, and a lot of them are already existing monsters. But yeah, I think the constant need for update and eventually DIC is what you need in today's gaming climate.
Yeah. And it sounds like they could potentially be doing that with the April update that we heard
Right.
about. But we don't know. We did see a lot of there was one Reddit post in particular that was like, hey guys, don't expect something every month, and they're just sort of trying to quell the the inevitable hype train. But you know what, everyone's going to hope for more monsters. I mean,
Of course.
Lobo and I, we did our hey, let's get hyped and speculate for the DevilJho stream, and we were totally wrong about there being extra secret monsters or anything like that. We got so excited and talked like half the episode about what else monster are they going to do with DevilJho, and that didn't happen.
Right.
So what I did, just real quick, I did find that shirt. It's eat, sleep, wiggle, repeat. So whatever that meme is.
I guess I don't even know what that meme is.
It's like eat, sleep, and then blank repeat. Just like the step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, make money. Question. It's stuff like that. Just it's a popular shirt meme, I would say.
About DevilJho and like the update, like theories, I guess. So, at least according to Gaijin Hunter's tweetlation, the Sujimoto called the April update a DLC update or something to that effect. And they didn't use that, of course, when they patched slicing out, or well, made slicing less obnoxious. But so that could indicate that they're talking about like actual content and not just like a patch and hotfixes.
Which seems weird to announce that so early. Something like that, if it's just balance changes, because they haven't even really rolled out the balance changes for DevilJho till Thursday.
Right.
So it seems odd. To be like, hey, there are obviously more things they could fix. I mean, we'll get into the sort of the general nitty gritty stuff they're fixing with this one later, but even with certain things, I mean, there's always going to be like little nitpicks there. They're never going to make the game perfect, obviously, but like, I kind of don't want to think it's like, hey, we're announcing this, get hyped for this stream. Hey, we buffed this weapon. See ya.
Yeah, and
I think it might be force of habit based on what's the word? Based on how they did with the previous games, where they would have their their monthly video that was releasing and showing it. It always came out like a month ahead of time as to what's coming up next. So I really think it's just kind of we're used to doing this.
Yeah. I could see that, but the difference is, we're getting event quests every week ish. Like new event quests. I don't think we've had a repeat yet. But that's kind of what those updates were previously, is event quests and crossover stuff. Maybe there's new crossovers. When is Dante coming out? Is that?
I think they said the fall. I could be wrong.
I don't think that is a
wow,
date
that's way
yet.
out.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna be much earlier. Holy cow!
Dante Special Charge Blade. They haven't even released the Street Fighter one here yet.
No, aside from people who played Street Fighter, which was like a fraction of the people who bought Monster Hunter.
Yeah, really small fry. There is no date as of yet, so
Yikes.
That.
Well, maybe that June festival will have it.
That's what I'm thinking. Does that include the one where it's like we're gonna release all the special event ones all at once?
Yeah, that's what the festival's doing.
That's probably when it is. Yeah, which is good because I forgot to do the Zero Dawn Palico, and I was kind of upset at myself.
I used it up until I got Xeno gear for the cat.
Oh yeah, I just want it because I'm a completist and
yeah,
I'm a sick person who's working on trying to get everything in this game. Even though I'm switching to PC and it's just going to become null and void at that point.
If I ever get a new PC, I will probably buy it to play on PC.
Yeah, I'm diseased.
I think we all are, man. I'm 300 and 38 when I logged in just before coming on here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm past 300, but I think at least 20, 30 of it is just me like leaving it on and falling asleep or something. There's that. And that's only happened recently, so it's not a ton of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So kind of danced around a lot of the stuff in the update, but before we leave DevilJho, I do want to just touch on him a little bit more. So as everyone saw on the live stream, or if you haven't, he's basically a giant spiky brute wyvern, and spiky not like Radaban. Spiky is in like there's like lots of teeth, lots of spikes on his tail,
right?
That kind of stuff. Very aggressive in previous entries. Probably one of the most aggressive monsters in the previous generations, aside from maybe Tigrex, but I mean both are really aggressive. Can be a potentially huge monster. His default size is, his default size is typically bigger than Urigan, I would say.
Well, he's big enough to pick up other monsters and beat you to death with them. So
that's true.
There's.
I did not get to see the live stream. I know that Haru, you were doing the Reddit thread, right?
Yeah, stayed up late.
Yeah, that was like 4 a.m. for you when that started.
Yep, 4 PS2.
I was a little upset because the times they had put on, I was trying to wake up because they put, it's gonna be 5 a.m. Central Time. I woke up for 5 a.m, and then it didn't happen for another hour.
Oh yeah, they always do that nonsense.
Ugh.
So I was a little upset. I woke up for nothing. And
Well,
that day I had 2 hours of sleep.
Well, the Capcom YouTube channel, the Japanese one, they always put up like stream start date times that are like half hour prior to the actual event.
Yeah,
that's true.
Nintendo does the same thing. Here's a half hour of a freaking logo until the direct starts.
Right.
And then they put like a timer.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, it's very rare that they actually start when they say they will. So for me, it was 7 a.m, and I couldn't watch because I just got to work, and I've not been at this job too long, and it's not like I can sit there and watch a live stream at work.
I mean, you could.
No, we're totally open. They're like that. We're in cubes, but the cubes come up to like my chest or something like that. Like we're total open office kind of situation, very collaborative. So like doing something not work related on your computer is very hard to hide. So I was not watching. I was watching the Reddit thread, and of course Lobo was freaking out and talking in Discord, which I can do on my phone.
Right.
So DevilJho's coming. DevilJho hype is real. We're getting some new content. But what we didn't expect, and what a lot of people have been talking about since, is the cavalcade of weapon updates. Like everything except for heavy bowgun and light bowgun are getting touched. So, Ariel, I'll start with you. How do you feel about these? What's your favorite?
Well, I'm a greatsword main, so obviously I was most interested, most excited in regards to that update, and I love it because if you watch the RX video and if you do the math, it plays out that you always want to constantly be getting your true charge slash, which if you're listening and you don't know, that is the third one in the combo where you hit the ground, then you flip over and you hit him again. It does huge damage, and it's great, but for a monster like, let's say, Oda Garen, it's incredibly difficult to get that off.
Mm-hmm.
And you're really just, so you're not being as efficient as every other weapon than like sword and shield or longsword or whatever. So what this increase is, apparently it is the increased damage for charge slash abilities, which is the first, I guess the first two slashes is if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that now I can now you can diversify your playstyle. Now something like your Basil Geese crit draw armor, which has the Basil Geese armor has crit draw and earplugs, right?
Yeah.
So things like that instantly become viable and more efficient and better. So it just makes it so much more exciting for me as a greatsword user, that it's a whole world has opened up in terms of play style, and I don't have to play a specific way. So I'm just really happy about that.
Yeah, no doubt. It's actually kind of funny because I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but crit draw and that kind of stuff with the greatsword used to be the de facto strategy before charging became a huge deal.
Right, yeah, I agree. It was hit and run with the greatsword. That's how I started playing it in this game until RX came out and just showed you the math, and he was like, "Yeah, I think this is the better way," and I adjusted, and but ultimately I think it's more fun to do you have crit draw 3, then you add you just use the quick sheath charm, and so you just get in and out of there so fast, and you become this really dangerous tail cutting, head smashing machine instead of risking getting hit for huge damage from an Ergigante because you want to get that true charge slash off.
Yeah, there's something to be said about playing a weapon or fighting a monster the way you want to do it in this game, that I think people really get wrapped up in the numbers way too much. For instance, I got kind of some not so favorable feedback today when I talked about my Charge Blade set. Now, granted, there was a mistake on my Charge Blade set. I was using Elementalist on a Poison Element Charge Blade, which didn't make sense to me that it wouldn't work because previously status effects were not considered elements, so that was a bit of a weird thing. But a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're not using the Diablo's Charge Blade, and you're not optimizing your gear." And I was like, well, first of all, I preface this by saying fun, right? And second of all, I'm not really a Charge Blade main. I'm just doing this for the weekly thread. So I made, I had a Basil Helm beta, I had Urgan chest, waist, and feet, and then I had Diablos Nero gloves. And that was just a cavalcade of guard and focus and that kind of stuff. And people were like, well, why would you ever do that if you guard point, da-da-da? And I'm like, well, I mean, honestly, because I don't guard point that much anymore. It's harder for me now. They don't have the visual cue, so I can't do it. But I will say I did solo a 15-minute Val on that quest, or in that armor. It's actually how I got a Gold Crown Small Valhazic.
Oh wow, nice.
Congrats.
Yep, it was my first Elder with a crown. And that was just for the limited bounties that were out recently.
Going into that,
yeah.
What do you think? What do you think of the Charge Blade weapon updates?
Personally, I think it's really cool that they're sort of disincentivizing the Super AD because there was no reason not to use it. Like,
yeah,
when I was practicing for this week's thread over the weekend, I was sort of trying to play it my old generation's way, which doesn't really work anymore, which is where you use the round hits, the round like file hits with the axe, and then you go into an AED and finish it off and just basically use your file one by one. And I was like, this is kind of okay. It's not really doing any stun damage or anything. Like, I don't think I ever knocked anything out. I just sort of accepted the meta and started using the Super AD like all the time. Yeah, it worked so much better.
Yeah, and that's why like I'm so glad that they're doing these changes so that you can play how you want to play, and they're trying to make everything viable.
Right. Yeah. Just in case people don't know what we're talking about, basically they've reduced the stun chance on Super AED, which is the super attack, the super slam, the really flashing one, and increase the stun damage on just the regular one, which is harder to pull off because one of them you do nothing, and the other one you have to do like a crazy like back from where you're facing as a hunter, not your camera, not your positioning. It's like where your hunter's facing. You have to push the opposite direction on the control stick and triangle or X on the 3DS or Y on Xbox. That confuses the crap out of me. Literally, it's the buttons are flip-flop between 3DS and Xbox. So when I'm writing like a guide that involves Xbox, I just screw it up every time. Anyways, so that happened, and then there was some other changes to the Charge Blade. I can't remember. Do you guys remember? Something about the elementals.
No.
They've increased the stun values for element vials, and the elemental damage values have been upped.
Yeah.
For attack
that
vials.
Was something that some other people were really excited about. Is elementals coming up? And elemental has kind of never been a thing on Charge Blade. I mean, it has, but it was never in the meta, as we say. And like, that was kind of.
I am excited for elemental, not only because hey, you finally get to have an excuse to use elemental charge blades, but also because the elemental AED and super AED effects look so much better than the impact ones.
Oh, that lightning!
Like, the impact is 3 explosions, but yeah, the actual element effects look so great now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get to be flashy and useful, I guess. Or viable. So, Lobo, I know your bowguns didn't get any updates, but were there any updates that you were particularly excited for?
There's a couple. I'm kind of interested in the bug fix. I'm a little bummed about it because I was using it. The bug fix for the bow.
Oh yeah.
So they fixed it. So previously, if you're doing your dragon piercer shot, if you aimed at the far left hand side of where you could aim, and then exit aim mode and whip the camera right as you were about to fire, you could fire outside of what you were allowed to.
I never did that.
Yeah, I heard about this.
They fixed that, and I was like, damn it.
Obvious bug.
I never did that. Yeah, I mostly did just because the wyvern ran past, and I was like, oh crap. So I managed to make it work, but no, they're like, we didn't intend that at all, so that's gone. Dual blades is one I'm actually interested in, because no longer they made more things able to actually generate your arc demon gauge.
Yeah, I remember the headline for that was managing your state gauge is easier.
Yeah, because mostly like you had to just spam your X, because even demon mode didn't actually increase your gauge very much.
No, it didn't.
And now they're also making the spin actually, the spin's actually going to fill your gauge as well. I'm actually looking for where I had posted those so I can look up at the other buffs so I can remember what all I was excited about.
So while you're doing that, Haru, what were you all up in arms about?
Not up in arms about anything yet. Just similar to the dual blades, it seems they have increased the damage for the insect glaives. Basically any combination of red vial or red extract, and they have increased just like the flat like duration of all of your buffs, and they've just like halted the decay of the duration while you're mounting a monster, which is really important for like Ariel insect glaive playing, because you'd flip around.
I never used that thing, man.
You get on the monster, and then when you downed it, mounting takes so long, your buff would be out. So that was unideal.
Yeah, it's some good changes for insect glaive. I know my brother, who's an insect glaive main, is going to be happy about that, because he was complaining about how short those buffs were, mostly because I'm a longsword user and I knock him around.
Well, it's just you're the worst.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
kind of do it on purpose to him, just to grieve him, but general stuff. Most of you guys have played with me. I'm not that bad about it.
No, I'm just kidding.
But our
I
main
would do it to my brother.
Yeah, no, about the longsword, they made something that's so nice, and they made a similar change to the switch axe, which is for the Spirit Helmbreaker and the zero-sum discharge. Both are thrust attacks. For the longsword, you flip up into the air and slice down, and for the switch axe, you hold on to the monster and you detonate and fly off of it.
Yep.
But they made both of those attacks immune to like knockbacks.
And
so
wars
before,
and all that stuff, yeah.
Before, like, there's so many cases where you'd like hit a monster and it like tail spins and sends you reeling. And it was the most annoying thing for Switch X, especially because you get a zero-sum discharge in, and the monster would hop across the area, and the hop would knock you back because you're technically in the monster's hitbox.
Yeah, that was just awful. On the Valhazic especially, when he does his little like lunge forward, it would just knock you out. Like, that does no damage. It literally just knocks you off, and they're increasing that, and they're giving you level 4 earplugs. For the switch axe when you do the discharge on the monster.
Yeah, I'm excited about the Helmbreaker change. It allows me to pull it off more reliably, because a lot of times you'll see me like stab, no, missed, stab, missed, stab. I got it. Oh, they roared. I'm back down. Like, oh man.
That's one of the one I was excited for, not just the dual blades. The gun lance. Got a little bit of love. Wyvern Fire and the Wormstake no longer take sharpness away. Well, they don't take nearly as much as they used to.
Right.
Also, shelling, they actually brought back that weird mechanic where the duller your weapon gets, your shells start doing more and more.
Yeah, I think it's to counteract how sharpness, like, wrecking that weapon is.
And then also they increase the damage of Wyvern Fire and the Wormstake Cannon. Because previously, you didn't really have as much of a reason to use the Wormstake, other than just, like, you would just go for another full burst, because everybody's used to using normal gun lances. But with those two bumps, it may be making more wide gun lance might make more of a comeback.
Yeah, that's good. One of the things that personally I am very excited for, even though I don't really think it was all that necessary, but hey, whatever, is the changes to the why am I blanking on the name? The counter.
The
Foresight Slash.
Oh yeah, they made it easier for you.
So like I didn't have a whole lot of problems pulling that off now that I put so many hours into the game. And whenever I miss it, I just take it as a, well, I did it at a bad time or that kind of thing, but like they're increasing the damage of the counter, they're increasing the duration that you can counter, they're increasing like there was something else too, like there was two like duration ones. It's like how long a counter lasts and how wide of a hitbox the counter has or something like that, like how much of a range that you can counter from. It's just like, wow. There's a ton of updates for the longsword on top of the Helmbreaker thing. It's like this thing just got easy mode in comparison.
And it's already the number one most popular
Actually,
weapon.
that's not true anymore.
Oh God, who took it?
I talked to the Wyverian, just I saw him on a quest, and I think it's that Glaive overtook everything, according to the Wyverian as of a couple days ago.
Wow.
You should have taken a screenshot of that. That's
yeah,
crazy.
Maybe I should have, but I didn't.
Because I can't even play Inzet Glaive. I keep trying it. I don't know if I'm overcommitting to combos or what. It's just it is not my weapon.
No, me neither. I can't get into it, and I play.
I mean, a
every
lot
weapon.
of people love it, right? I mean, a lot of people love the air dashes, the mounting, that kind of stuff. Like the air dash, I think, is what really made my brother stick with it. He was like, "This thing is just so fun." Yeah,
It's so satisfying too. The little poof noise before you hit the monster.
Dude.
It creates a
I
nice,
love fighting Urgan with
nice
it.
rhythm.
Urgan is so fun with Inzet Glaive.
But about
any other? Go ahead.
Yeah, just one last thing on the Foresight Slash. They said a change that increases the angle a player can control the direction of the attack.
Oh yeah.
Which is a weird change because anyone who uses it knows that it's like you run out and then you strike back in. So when you press the buttons, you can control like whichever way you're manipulating the control stick is where the lunge back in strike will be directed, and you can do that regardless of your combo in like 360 degrees. So they literally cannot increase the angle at which that can be controlled.
I don't think Foresight Slash could go beyond 180. Directly left or directly
Yeah, you
left,
can't.
right?
You can't go further back. Essentially, so that might unlock it going further back, because there have been times where, like Radaban or Urgan rolling right, and they roll through me. I can't hit them. I can maybe catch their tail on the way through, but if I'm dead on, I can't go back past myself.
Okay.
So that's a good change, I guess. But like I said, I don't think it needed it. Like that was like, I'm happy they did it, but like I didn't feel like that was like a something I was asking for or really like needing. You know what I mean? It was crazy good change.
Yeah, it's a counter. You kind of expect it to be tricky.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I'm surprised that they made it a little more user friendly.
I think maybe they did it to bring it up to the level of Charge Blades, because Charge Blades can. I know you don't like it because of the lack of visual cue, but how long their guard point is open is a pretty long time.
That is increased. And the return of the AED off of the guard point too. Oh my gosh.
So I think they may be trying to bring it up to speed with that.
And you know what? I think that's the right attitude. You don't want to, like for example, in Destiny, things like that. You don't want to nerf weapons. You want to make everything at the level of your best.
Yes.
I think that's just a better attitude to have when it comes to weapon balance.
And this is a game I bring up a lot on here, but it's also one of my other favorite series is Diablo. And the designers of that team have said that many times. It's more fun to buff everything else than to nerf one thing.
Right.
Because you've just taken away someone's toy. And Joshy Washy's words, which Joshy Washy was like a community nickname for the game director at that time. I mean, there were updates for every weapon, but I don't think any of the other ones really stood out that much to me. I know there was something with Lance and the counterattack, but I don't know.
If I could just jump in real quick, I just want to say that like I think they're increasing because for the foresight slash again,
Mm-hmm.
you can like start it going any direction, but like the direction you input, you're then locked to like a cone
Yes.
surrounding that. It's about 120 degrees maybe. So I would assume they're increasing that,
Yeah.
but which is already pretty generous.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's going to give me
So-
more control on where to actually land at. Yeah, because even if I do pull off a counter, it's maybe 50% of the time that counter actually lands, too.
Oh, I did find. I looked back at the lance thing. It's similar to the lance or the longsword's sky hop thing. So you get knockback resistance, which I'm assuming is super armor, during a successful counter thrust. So I've had that happen a lot where I do the charge up, and even though I get the timing right, it still knocks me far enough back that I don't hit the monster. Or if it has multiple attacks in a second, like I'll counter the first one, and then halfway through the thrust, oh nope, the second attack knocks me out of it. So I think they're just trying to make it again more on point with other weapons.
Yeah, because Lance fell hard in popularity.
Yeah, I don't.
It's a simple weapon, so you know.
Okay.
So kind of ironically about Lance, when I play it, I've never really understood the counter because it's like I'm like certain times when I counter an attack, it'll give me the counter thrust, and certain times my character just won't attack back. So I've never really understood the counter to begin with. So hopefully this makes it more consistent.
And then there was a secret undocumented change to the bowguns that if you're playing bowgun, they're going to increase the rate of tier 4 gems and the decorations.
But only if you use the tripping version of Slicing Shaft.
So that's huge surprise coming out of the spring update. Again, I'm very surprised they're doing balance changes. I said that when I did the bowgun. This is not, as someone who's been playing this game for a long time, this series, balance changes were just like, well, I guess we'll fix it next game. So this is a pleasant surprise. But speaking of like changing something when you sort of made that decision, they're adding in character customization like redos. And they're bringing out also new hairstyles and that kind of stuff. So how do you guys feel about this? Because I took my time and I made who I wanted to be to begin with. So I don't know if I'm ever going to use it.
I like it. I kind of like the fact that a lot of it was like a lot of people were complaining once they get the high rank of like, I don't like, I made a female character, but I don't like all these armor sets or vice versa. And like after looking at the armor sets for the other character or the other, gender, they wanted to switch. I was for a while in that same boat because I didn't want to, watch a video that's like, oh yeah, all male armor sets and all female armor sets, because I didn't really want to spoil myself. So I had to go in, hoping I would like all the armor sets from one gender.
Sure. I can understand that.
Plus, I know a lot of people who rushed their character because they couldn't wait to play because they figured, oh, well, I'll always have my helmet off anyway, or on anyway. And now they get a chance to actually make a character.
Yeah, I did hear of one case where some guy, he was so just set on, hey, I gotta just blaze through the story as fast as I can, that he was like, oh man, I really should have focused on what my character looks like. He looks like trash. And like
Does it?
No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go on. Does it come with a cat redo as well?
Yeah,
no, it's not included.
I don't think it is. Nothing with a cat. You can't change your name and something else. Still, gender swapping, total recustomization of like what you look like, which I already thought you could do. Like,
you could do a little bit of it.
Right.
It's like hair,
so you
facial
could have
hair.
just have done the Admiral's hairstyle anyways without this ticket.
Yeah, you can change all the alternate hairstyles
Yeah.
and things.
Yeah, you've always been able to change hair, tattoos, and facial hair, and I think
So
there's
kinda like
something
real
else you
life.
could change. But yeah, but like your facial structure, you
Yeah.
could never rechange and stuff like that. But I think they made that all that you get a full redo.
Yeah, I think it's cool. There was a lot of negative feedback if you guys looked at Reddit/gaming or games. Yeah, so there
Really?
was like a lot of sentiment like, oh, this is just like a standard feature in other games. Why do you have to have a ticket and then like pay for it afterwards? Sorry, it's my mocking voice, I guess. Like there was a lot of like negative feedback like, yeah, this should have been in the game already. And it's like, not really. You could have just, cared what you did in the first place, or make a new character if it bothers you that much. Like, I mean, that's the way this game's been, and many games have been for a long time.
Right. It's rare to have to be able to have the opportunity to do this. My big thing is that one, they give you like one free one if you want to change your gender, if you want to do all these things, and also I think it's okay because the characters in game do not look like what they look.
Yeah.
Whatchamacallit, like in cutscenes and in when you're creating the character, it doesn't look the same as when you're playing him in the game. So I think that is one of the reasons why they are allowing.
Yeah,
this to
it's
happen,
definitely
or,
lower
you know,
res, as they
and
were
I
saying.
don't mind the pay thing. Yeah, for sure. And I'm curious to see what that'll be like in the PC, if it'll be a higher resolution, higher DPS, not DPS, FPS, frames per second. Is it DP? Whatever. That's not important. What's important is I'm just curious as to what it's going to be like on PC. And while I do think that they should, listen to people when they say, hey, my character doesn't look like he's supposed to look, or whatever. Something like that.
I just wish when I was dyeing my armor, I could have that little button to change the lighting, because the lighting in the Forge sucks, and the lighting in the highest version of your room you can get also kind of sucks. So when I'm trying to line up colors, and everything around me is red, it's a little difficult.
Going on that, I wish there was primary color, secondary color, accent color in terms of changing. I don't know why. I think that is a decent compromise to the whole transmog thing, because I think they've done a decent job of allowing certain synergy between sets to make them at least like aesthetically synergistic, as well as skill synergy. But if they would just allow you to really make the colors what you want, it's just less of an issue, really.
I do agree, because I love the Azure. I would love to be able to use the Azure Rathalos waist, but you can't dye away the blue. And
right.
So if you're wearing all red Rathalos and you have one piece of Azure, it looks terrible.
I feel this so much, Ariel, because like the structure of the game is of high rank armor is you have alpha sets and you have beta sets, and you'll go to the alpha set, you'll do the recolor swatches, and you'll be like, oh, the leather changes color, and then you'll go to the beta set and you recolor, and oh, the steel changes color, and they're two like mutually exclusive parts of the armor. So they like already have these swatches, these like recolorable portions for maybe like a little over 60% of the armor in the game, or 60% of the armor's like surface. I just don't know why they wouldn't combine those, and then if they added transmog too, it'd be like super fun, because you could just look like whatever you've earned and whatever is your favorite armor set, I guess.
Right. And I think I think it's time. You talked about not doing weapon updates. Well, you didn't have the PlayStation and the Xbox before, where you had the vehicle to make these updates, right? It is so much more difficult, I'd assume, to make these updates on, millions of 3DSs around the country instead of just putting out a patch, and the people who want it do it, and the people
Yeah.
who aren't connected just don't get it. But yeah, so the transmogging, things like that, you know, when you have such a wider audience base, you want to cater to them without ruining the spirit of your game, and I don't think that does ruin the spirit of the game. I think the game is still punishing. I think the grind is still there, and I think those are the things that make this game what it is. And it's not, you know, the moment they released the beta sets is the moment that they should have decided to let you either change major colors or transmog, because that means they are encouraging mixed sets, and you know, aesthetics are important in video games, especially. It's
I agree. I was just surprised that they started doing this because it's different. You know, it's new. It's, you know, there's a lot of new things about World that really touched on stuff. I mean, I don't know if you guys read it, but I did do like a 6-part series on my review of the game. So that was pretty in depth on a lot of my different thoughts of, you know, everything from cosmetics to, you know, map design and everything. And there's so much different about World that just makes it so much more of an appealing game to the general audience. So
right, that was before I met you for it, so I guarantee it was like, wow, someone put a lot of effort into it.
I mean, no, I did that recently. This was
oh
yeah, it got downvoted to obscurity because people did not like probably about 12 Word document pages, single space between paragraphs of my review on the various aspects. I did part 1 was we talked about it here, story, right? That's nothing new. You guys know my thoughts on the story. But yeah, part 1 was like, here's where I'm coming from in the story. And spoilers, I don't like the story because I don't like how video games tell stories most of the time. And, you know, stuff like that. So that got downvoted. And then the monsters part got upvoted because I'm interested in monsters, not a lot to say. And, you know, I go into systems and mechanics. I go, like, everything. You know, I did miss a category that's super important to me, though, is the music. I didn't even talk about the music. I was like, holy cow. But, I mean, what is there to say? The music is almost always pretty awesome. Because I've never had the need to go listen to Spotify while I'm playing the game. But yeah, sorry, that's quite a tangent there.
About the cosmetic updates, I guess. The World is in a bit of an awkward spot because, of course, Double Cross had like transmog for armor, not weapons, but armor from the jump.
I don't want it for weapons. I think just armor.
I agree.
But go on.
That would take away most of the matching complaints.
Yeah, I think I think its aesthetics are very important in the game. Else we wouldn't have this thing called fashion hunters. Which fashion hunters, they were kind of like a silly joke in the game before, and they're serious players, and some of the times they're really good, right? And we talked about Lobo and I. We both talked about kind of pseudo being fashion hunters in Double Cross because we couldn't understand what the armor set skills were without a guide. So we're like, this looks good.
Sir,
and I'm just saying, like, fashion hunting has always been kind of seen as suboptimal, right? And a way to get that up there and still be optimal and look good is a pretty good thing. Now, there's something to be said about making an armor set, and you're like, this is the skills I like, and you sort of like bring an identity to how you look in the game, even though that's not what you would have went with to begin with. You know what I mean? There's like, okay, this, you know, I'm warmed up to this. This looks good. I mean, like, I love Diablos. Always loved Diablos. Never been a huge fan of that waist, right? The freaking umbrella skirt that thing is. And I do have it for a bow set that I made. And I kind of like how that came together in the end. But I don't like Diablo's waist in general. I thought my set that I was using right now was kind of ugly. So that's the beta Valhazak helm, beta Kusha chest, beta Val gloves and waist, and then beta Kusha legs. So I kind of look like this weird, like, spiky swimmer, because it's all kind of like form-fitting and weird looking. And I was like, that kind of looks ugly, and I really like the Val Alpha helm with the hooded figure kind of thing, and the hood is gone in the beta. It just looks weird in comparison. And I just sort of like fell in love with that armor set, and I have not really changed it up much. I've been using that since, my first 120 hours. So, I mean, I've been playing for another 210 hours in that set, almost. And I've grown to really like it. I kind of like how I look now. So, that's kind of... There's something to be said about that, but that's definitely not... I would be entirely okay with people like being able to customize how they look.
Yeah.
So character customization, we get that ticket. We have the ticket now, I believe, or no?
Yes, I came out.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Artek has already used his.
So
what I'm not clear about is, have they released the ability to
they
buy
said
more
that would be at a later date.
tickets?
I don't think they have, at least.
Oh.
I haven't checked because I haven't even used my ticket yet. Like I said, I spent time and I kind of look like I did in high school, so I'm not going to change that.
It's weird they do it through the menu too.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some weird tech hang
I mean, there's definitely already buyable DLC. Lobo, didn't you buy the Guildmarm?
Yep. I'm actually thinking about getting the Hadouken just because I want to set off barrels with it.
I bought the samurai outfit because I'm all about optimization and I can't stand looking terrible. So I'm too vain.
I will
to
say,
have mixed sets.
when I got the collector's edition, I was like, why would I ever use this over the normal armor? I'm just going to use the normal armor. And then I made the Toby set, which I hate. And then I used that armor skin.
See,
Why
that's
don't
what
you
I thought
the Toby
too.
set?
Which is why I didn't get the collector's edition. I was like, I don't need this. And now I regret it, of course. But
I wanted that art
not
book.
really. But
That
still,
art book is
it's-
amazing.
It's I hear there's like a 1,000-page guide that has.
Yeah, it's probably just a strategy guide. I'd probably buy it.
or something. Yeah, but they say the art's incredible, and I want it. But
Yeah, that is a
alas,
thing.
we'll
People
have
do
to
buy
wait.
strategy guides for the art nowadays. Like, strategy guides have not really been like a mainstream, like, hey, let's go look at this, because, the internet. But I remember when I was a kid, strategy guides were like the bomb. It was like, this is your game Bible. You're going to read this thing day in and day out when you're not playing the game. Yeah. I had
cover to cover. Yeah. My Kingdom
I
Hearts
had one
was
for Doom
pretty
2 that I got
well-versed.
for like, I don't know, it was like $4 when I was in 4th grade. And when I was in 4th grade, that was well after that game came out. So, that was like, I was like, yeah, this is the most awesome thing. Now, granted, Doom is a very M-rated game. So, when you're in class and then you read the entry on the Berserk health pack that says some things in life are better than sex, and you just close the book like, I'm going to get in trouble. Like, yeah, I have a love for strategy guides, but I don't use, I don't use them anymore. I don't even look up guides anymore. I don't even use cheats unless it's like me being goofy anymore, even. It's like a thing that used to be like in the old...
Oh, I was gonna say I've done the same thing in regards to reading a game or reading through a strategy guide I don't even own, because it was just fun fantasizing and looking at the pictures.
It's like a whole
and
different
stuff.
experience to the game. It's like being involved when you're not there. But now we have the internet and YouTube and Reddit and all this stuff to actually sort of interact with the game in other ways.
You could still read game guides in Imagine. It's called Game Facts. They don't even allow pictures there.
It's like that one time when I was a kid and and someone gave me a Lego construction manual without the Lego set to go with it.
That kind of sounds like a ripoff. So one of the couple of the
Yeah.
other updates that they did is now this is something that I don't know. I think it was never really that much of a problem before, but apparently it is now. Is the whole carving thing, not hitting people when they're carving. I heard this is more of an issue with Japanese players. I don't know where that information came from. It's just something I heard. But basically, they're fixing that. You can no longer get knocked out of carving from your fellow players, supposedly.
Yeah, and you have full
Yeah,
super
I'm all for
armor
that.
Yep.
when you're carving after the quest is
Oh,
completed.
so they don't let you do it during the quest?
I believe it's still. Yeah, I believe it was both. Not only can you no longer have PvP battle carves, but also if you're carving something or gathering something, they can't knock you out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah,
It does kind of
that's a
bring
welcome
my
change, I think.
my current acting squad into question. It's called the Spike Carves. Now it's no longer that dangerous. Okay.
I think monsters can still hit you, but not players, which is nice because all those spread shotting bows. I've seen a couple videos now where that's what they were doing is just spamming spread shotting bows on people who are
that's
trying
really
to carve it.
crappy.
It's like that's not really.
That is not cool. We mentioned this earlier, but there's a big June festival going on. There's a flower poogie. Banabra armor looks like it's changing a lot of Astera for like a festival. All the events and that kind of stuff. So that's coming in June. We'll probably hear more about that in April.
Yeah,
Well,
that
actually,
was-
it runs
So that's
from
before the live
April
stream
5th to the
in
18th.
April. Okay.
Yeah, presumably. And it's the start time of 5 p.m. PST, and also that's the
Okay.
end time as well.
For you Destiny fans out there, it really reminds you of like Festival of the Lost or the Crimson Days events, where basically events where the central hub was changed. And it really just like, I guess it just makes it more visually interesting and gives you incentive to just, I don't know, log in and check it out and maybe, get back into playing the game. And I don't think that's as much a problem right now for Monster Hunter as it is for perhaps Destiny at that time,
Oh, yeah.
and currently at this time for sure, but it's something.
Did they say they're going to have more extra event quests as well, like one specifically for that festival?
Well, there are going to be new event quests that coincide with the festival.
That's cool.
The Wyvern
Oh,
Ignition
yes.
Switch Axe, the community designed one, will release like the same day as festival basically, and Mega Man will be available on the 13th in the middle of the festival.
Well, the other reason I'm asking, and this is a speculation thing, is I'm hoping they release kind of like I don't want to say kimono type of stuff, but like traditional wear because it looks kind of like Sakura Flower Festival or something like that. It's that
Oh,
spring
man,
kind
the
of
Yukumo
pretty
set.
festival, and they have given us armor without telling us in the past. We have that weird fire resistance eye patch.
Yeah.
We have the sunglasses from Ziziyaku. And those
yeah.
were unannounced. And it doesn't even say in the quest description you're getting a fancy new piece of gear. It's just kind of like you happen to get a
Yeah,
weird
that's
reward.
why I
and now you
always
can go make
do
a
an
thing.
event quest once, at least. Yeah.
To see if you get a ticket. Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's what I'm hoping on. That maybe we'll get some nice, pretty armor coming up. Maybe even a full armor set type of armor.
Yeah.
The ones that are just cosmetic overlays.
Well, the armor we've seen before, I'm pretty pleased with it. It's it's sort of a new version, like a pinkish version of the Gunner,
Yep.
previous Gunner Banabra set. And that'll also help for like stat wise because the only sets with paralysis attack on them in the game are like Vespoid and like I think Gyros, not even great Gyros.
Just regular Gyros.
So
Those things are nasty.
yeah, I'm really excited for that. Yeah, the little trivia. I'm just really excited if I can get the Banabra set again, and especially the Blade Master set, and put the rainbow pigment on it and have it look all
Yeah.
jewel-like and iridescent, changing colors. I wore that in 4U like all the time when I was farming low rank monsters.
What do you guys think of the change to allow you to go back to the gathering
I
hall?
think it's irrelevant,
I
I'm
guess
so
honestly.
excited about that.
Yeah, a lot of people like, hey, it's
I do
easier
too.
to go up there, and I'm like, you still can't go to the smith. You still can't go deal with your investigations up there. They're like, it's a completely useless place unless you're doing arena quests. Like, I don't.
I was about
I
to
did
say,
my 50
Fortuan
and I
doesn't
was
care about arenas.
kind of out. I helped people along, and I'm still willing to help people do arena quests. It's just,
See, what you don't realize is that the arena longsword is
Which
one of
I
the best
already
longswords
crafted.
in the entire game. Well, aren't you fancy? But yeah,
Yeah.
all the arena
And-
weapons and stuff are
and
really
as
good.
usual, I'm focusing on one weapon set. Now I'm creating other ones to sort of have, like, when I do these weapon mega threads on Reddit, that I'm not, like, at least entirely stupid about a weapon. Although some people would argue I am. Anyways, but so I have a better grasp. So the one I was most worried about is hunting horn, right? Because hunting horn, throughout the history of Monster Hunter, is the weapon I am the least interested in, and that didn't change with me playing it for that week. But it was still interesting and to learn it and that kind of stuff. I just, I don't know. That's not fair because I really just don't care about the switch axe either. I don't know. It's just I'm just like a one weapon type of guy, and I just sort of make all of this stuff. It's just So I don't know. That kind of sums up everything that was in that update. Am I wrong?
I think you're good. Did we talk about the? You guys talk about the Devil
We
May Cry
mentioned
armor
it.
last week.
I don't think.
I wasn't here.
I know that we went into it too much. A lot of people are
yeah.
excited for it. It looks really cool. It's a full armor set, which I think that's new news. I think it's actual craftable 5-piece set.
Right. I'm more excited about the charge blade it comes with, because it's a charge blade without a
I
shield.
mean, it has a shield. It
Yeah,
just,
I'm excited about that.
pops
actually.
up when it's needed. Yeah.
Visually without a shield.
Yeah, I think I've said my piece on the April update. I'm excited for it. This time next week we'll be obsessing over the DevilJho. I'm sure.
I think I'll fight him a couple times and
I'll
I'll go
be-
right back to crown hunting. It's just how I am.
I'm probably gonna make his weapons or a couple of his weapons first, and then move on from there.
Oh, since it happened, I believe, between last podcast and this podcast, what is the grand total of Puka Pukas you had to kill?
213.
That is more hunts than I've done in my entire Monster Hunter World career. Just want to point that out.
Well, I mean,
there.
so some of that is like being out on an expedition and maybe 2 or 3 show up. When I was sort of still feeling out how you do this, and as I mentioned before, 15 minutes small, 50 big, more rewards, better. There's also things like adjusted death counts or cart counts help. There's all sorts of things that have been theorized to help, and I started following all these theories, and it eventually worked out. The only problem is it's kind of frustrating because you can kind of tell when something's bigger or smaller, and I could see it was working. What's frustrating to me right now is I feel like the opposite is true right now for Great Gyros. Like my 15 minutes of making them large and my 50 are making them small, but then sometimes it isn't. Like it's just Great Gyros is really frustrating me right now, despite being a fraction of what I was hunting Puke.
I'm going to say maybe Puke was just giving you... oh crap, there's a psychology term for this, where you're getting positive feedback on something that isn't actually positive. Like, it's just confirmation
I thought you were
bias,
saying
that's it.
placebo effect.
Nah, confirmation bias, where, oh yeah, it's definitely working. No, it's not really, it happens to be coincidental that it's lining up with exactly what you think.
Maybe, but this was based on a lot of other people who have already completed crown hunting, saying that 15 minutes small, 50 large is sort of like a general consensus. And then as soon as I started doing that, it immediately was apparent. So I was like, oh, okay. It's just that Great Gyros, for whatever reason, the quest that I'm sort of farming out right now, which was like 8 tries for a 4 rewards capture investigation. That has been small. Not just for Great Gyros, but there's a basil geese in that quest that I've really considered also killing a basil geese, because like that will be possibly very small too. But the thing is, it's 15 minutes, and if I screw up and don't get the the quest monster and it was small, I'm gonna be kicking myself. So I've been kind of ignoring the basil geese.
Right.
It just makes it harder to sort of do that. But with the 50-minute quest, I'll hunt everything in that room. Because it only takes me 15 minutes to do all 3 monsters. So it's just sort of like a grind at that point. But hey, that's just how the end game is. So
all right, come one, come all, come see the amazing paralyzing freak with large fangs of thunder. Not really thunder, ladies, don't be too scared. What we're talking about tonight is the Gendrome. If you've never seen a Gendrome, they are not so large, but they do have green and orangish stripes on them. They're a small raptor-like being, similar to, I don't know if you've ever seen a Jaggy or a Velocidrome like we spoke about last time. Mm-hmm. They also have large, I believe they have a large orange frill across their top of their head, and they have 2 very large fangs that they use for leaping bite with paralysis attacks.
Right. Because everything that does paralysis has giant fangs.
Of course. They have... Actually, you're kind of right about that. Now that I think about it. Even Dalmadura has giant fangs, and it can paralyze you. They do hunt in packs as well, so you do have to be careful about their little buddies. Although I don't... Whenever I fought him, he never had too many of his little buddies around. I think it's because he spends less time calling for help to summon more, and more time just trying to fight you.
Yeah, so real quick, his ridge is actually 2 eyebrow ridges.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, he typically has 2 Gendrome with him, so he's normally like the leader and the 2. Which you see in Velocidrome, but there's typically packs of Velocidrome also with him, so it's like you'll get like sometimes it's 5 or 6 Velociprey in the area. But with Genprey, they tend to stick in groups with 3 for some reason.
They first appeared in the very first Monster Hunter. They also have appeared in 2, Portable 2, 4 generations, all of Frontier, online stories, and spirits. One day I'm going to find a video that shows off Monster Hunter spirits, but I have not found one yet.
Yeah, that one escapes me.
They are mostly found in deserts, but they have... I was looking up its habitat. They show up in pretty much anywhere that's not cold. I know traditionally they're found in the desert, but really, like, every environment has had one except for cold places, it looks like.
Kind of don't remember that. I don't remember them showing up in volcano areas.
But I definitely fought a Gendrome in the sunken volcanic hollow, that one.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe it was an Iodrome.
Yeah, it probably hangs around like the less hot areas, but yeah.
Honestly, they're kind of blending together for me.
Yeah, my brain's stuck in Gen 1, Gen 2 area, thinking about these monsters, and sometimes I forget about Gen 3 and 4, even though he wasn't in Gen 3.
One thing I did find, that in Monster Hunter Online, of course he appears, but he is also twice the size he normally is in Monster Hunter Online. Like, really, he just stands twice as tall as the other games. Not sure why.
Make him look more intimidating for one. 'Cause holy cow.
Oh, yeah. He, same as the Velocidrome, he's weak to ice, but he actually resists dragon and water, so it's an odd set of skills, but...
yeah, a desert monster that resists water.
One thing to point out is he does use paralysis a lot. You can get hit by many paralysis attacks from this guy. Does he ever spit, or is he just a jumper?
He's just a jumper.
He definitely spits.
Does he spit?
Wait, doesn't he?
I don't think he does.
I might be thinking of like purple Gypsaros or something, but I remember like yellowish balls of quasi electricity from
Yeah,
4.
stun. You might be right. That might be a G rank move in 4.
But
G-rank Gendro.
the most popular reason that this Monster Hunter is remembered by people is because of its weapons.
Oh, yes.
Specifically, its Sword and Shield, the Death Prize. Most of its weapons actually have decent sharpness, and as far as I could tell, most of its weapons actually have more paralysis stat on them than actual attack.
Yep.
Oh wow! I
Yeah.
don't remember that.
I was looking because I just tried to pull up every single weapon, and a good majority of them have just more paralysis than attack. So they're very useful.
Yeah, it was, if not the most popular, one of the most popular builds for Sword and Shield in 4 Ultimate Days.
It doesn't help the fact that you got one. You could get one early on, and then you could also get one early on in a high rank. And Sword and Shield in that game could KO very easily with its coatings. So you ended up having a Sword and Shield that could stun lock things without using very many items.
Yeah.
One thing I did find out in Frontier, I know we don't like to talk about Frontier very much, but in Frontier it actually had a hunting horn. And it was this really sick looking. If you ever just look up a Gendrome real fast, if you're listening, imagine these green and orange scales everywhere, and then down on where your hand would strum, because it's actually not a hunting horn; it's a big guitar, like a rock guitar. Down where your hands would strum, it has the finger guard is a bunch of those ruby red eyes that it has. Just kind of lining the bottom. It's really freaky. I'll find a picture so I can show the other guys here. But there it is. It looks wonderful.
That reminds me, like hitting people with an axe as far as a guitar. It always reminds me of El Kabong, that old Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Oh yes.
Kabong. Oh, we're really dating ourselves, guys.
Look up when that came out.
Oh, it was old news when I was a kid. It's just,
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think you're a little older than me, for it, but we're certainly not. We're certainly not children, not youngins.
But it is not a bad looking. I could not find a video of how it sounds, unfortunately, so we'll never know if it actually sounds cool or not. It does have pretty good armor, and for you, it at least provided paralysis protection and provided status 8 out of 10, so you could quickly gem in, 2 more, and you could get paralysis to make that weapon even better. And then in Generations, it also gave Fate and the worst possible negative stat in the entire game. It was Devil's Luck, I believe it's called. It's the anti-divine protection spell.
where you take extra damage.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so you know how often divine protection procs. Now just make it so that occasionally it just I think it did 1.5 or double the damage. So you had a chance of getting one shot by something that normally wouldn't one shot you.
Ugh.
So why you would ever use that, I have no idea.
I do want to say that in Gen 1 and Gen 2, fighting Gendrome was, like the Velocitrum, really difficult at times because just how jumpy they were, back and forth. For people who fought him in 4U, they were annoyed of how much he jumped around and that kind of stuff. Now, make yourself a little less mobile and fighting that guy, because Gen 1 didn't have a lot of the more mobile weapons like Longsword. I think the most mobile weapon was Hammer, and Hammer really, I can't speak to it because it sucks so bad. I tried it once and I never touched it again in Gen 1. I'm sure that it was able to charge back then, but I didn't even take the time to even look at it. But yeah, it was a difficult monster to fight because not only was it a little bit harder to hit, but also it would paralyze you and then it would hit you for a ton of damage sometimes. Monsters hit really hard in Gen 1, really hard. There wasn't any of this oh no, I got hit and it took a point of damage that you get nowadays. I can freaking leave the PlayStation on, walk away, and still be okay in a G rank fight with a Great Gyros. Like, not G rank, high rank. And I just, you can't do that in Gen 1. You just can't.
No.
So. I remember getting sniped off of walls by the jump attack, like, a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And Gundram is one of those monsters that, because of, like, the range spit attack that we cannot confirm or deny the existence of.
I'm going to find it out while we're talking. I'm just going to find it out.
Because of the range attack and the jump attack and the, like, little lunging bite or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's one of those monsters that stuns you a lot. Because you're taking all those hits.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, he was...
So it's just kind of frustrating.
He was, we talked about those monster humbleizers. He was one of those early on. Because you'd be like, he's easy. He's just a drome. Like, dromes had this weird place where they're like, yeah, I'm just going to ignore him. Which, for the most part, you could. But you would get punished by that sometimes.
Yeah, the paralyzing aspect of him is really punishing. And then, in turn, when you used his weapons, it was so good.
Yeah.
Such an underrated type of, underrated in the fact that you get it so fast in the whatever game you're playing at the time.
Also wanted to point out, I found this out. In high rank in Generations, the alternate equipment for it, because it had a set that gave Pararesist and Thunder Attack, but its alternate gave you attack up and status up and elemental down. So you were very easily going to paralyze stuff even more, with just more attack and more element or more status on your weapons, and just really easy to make sets.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. The only last thing I had was it shows up in the For You trailer video, both getting beat up by a Monoblos and then getting beat up by Seregios.
The desert whipping boy.
I guess. But that's pretty much all we had. Gendrome was a simple monster, and he gave a great sword and shield. He also had a light bowgun that was just kind of meh. But
yeah.
That's really all I had for him.
Awesome. All right, guys. Anything else you want to say before we wrap this up, or are we good?
I'm good.
I'm glad we have new raptors.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I want my Roggy back. I want my cowboy armor.
It's the secret of
I
the quest.
hear
Right?
You have to go behind the smithy and delete 5 Nova Crystals and you unlock it.
Simple.
So,
I was like 200.
I fell asleep while playing on Friday while holding forward the control stick, and I kind of snapped awake, and I was running into a wall behind the smithy, and I had no idea where I was. It's like, where?
Yeah, it seems really weird. There's just that one place up there you got to walk so far, and it's like, here's an entrance to the Gathering Hall. It's like, okay, why would you ever use this entrance? And then here's the Admiral sometimes. It's like, okay.
Here's a scenic lookout for you. Have a nice day.
I almost couldn't believe that entrance was there.
Yeah, so out of the way.
I was like, oh, maybe I found a secret. Oh, no, it's just the Gathering Hall.
I do have a quick question. Speaking regarding the secret Gathering Hall stuff. Supposedly at one point you're supposed to go into a shrine thing that's near the Gathering Hall, but also near your room. I've never gone in that area. It's supposed to have a sapphire star or something in it, and I've never seen it.
You're talking about the Chamber of the Five. It gets converted into your room. It's like a church, and they convert it into the rank 3 room.
Do you never get to see it before it gets converted?
Well, if you go up there into the Gathering Hall and go through the doors, that's where it is. So you have to go through there before your room unlocks.
So to see it afterward, oh man, I'm gonna have to make a new save file in order. Well,
you probably could move rooms and then go up there and do it.
I I think if you move rooms, it'll still magically teleport you to your room, kind of like every other entrance does.
I don't know. It's just a thought.
I'll test it.
Alrighty, thank you, hunters, for joining us today. This is at Fortuan signing off, and we'll see you next quest. And in that next quest, Ariel, where will you be?
All right, guys, you can find me on Twitter at DreadPirateRada. Lobo, where can we find you, or not find you?
Well, you'll probably find me writhing around on the floor, paralyzed, and possibly getting eaten by a gendrome. We'll see. What about you, Haru?
I'm at a Kane's Dead Gran. I don't know. Just talk about Monster Hunter a lot. A lot of retweets of news. Have a good hunt, everyone. Oh, that was just on Twitter.
Okay.
On Twitter, okay.
Cool. Alrighty, folks. And freaking Lobo is like writhing on the ground. Is that what you were saying? Oh man. Alrighty. It's downright Thank you, hunters, for listening today. You can catch us on SoundCloud or any past episodes on Google Drive download or YouTube.